Hey guys, and welcome to the TCC podcast, where we discuss everything coffee. Hey guys, Theo here, and to my right, Stefan Nutis.
Must I say my name?
And to the very right is
And to
Christian.
his right, Mr. Christianos.
What an intro.
What an
Cool.
intro.
So today,
Interesting topic.
Yes.
it's going to be
What is a coffee machine? What is a grinder? And what are they worth when you look at a good cup of coffee?
Yes. So what are the contributions to the cup?
Right.
This is going to be a very interesting conversation. Now, also saying, if you are in the manufacturing business or the equipment retail business, we're not going to bash any products. We're going to share our opinion on what we think is the most important factor with regards to what gives quality and consistency.
Yeah, to a great tasting cup of coffee.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So
Let's talk about the coffee
So
first.
the coffee. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Coffee at hand. Interesting coffee
The
today.
coffee.
Very interesting coffee today.
One that neither the two of them really wanted to do.
Well, I was fine. I drink coffee. So
Yeah, if I
If
drinks
you
anything.
can drink it, then I know. Then I can drink it.
I just drink this coffee because I've got respect for it. I can't really say that I drink this coffee because I enjoy it.
I've drank enough of these
Yeah.
type of flavors that.
I'm sure that this is something
Type of
that you were
tastes.
very well familiar with before you met us.
Yeah, well, and after also.
And after.
Yep, I am still familiar with this every time I go to a restaurant, and then somebody thinks they're treating me like, oh, can I order a double espresso for Christian?
And I'm
And
like,
I'm like,
no!
please don't.
No! Can I have some hot water?
Do you hate me?
But I thought you loved coffee.
Yes, I do.
Dude.
So, which is why I don't want to taste this.
Any case, so the coffee at hand.
So
today.
the coffee at hand is actually a coffee imported all the way from Ethiopia. To be more precise, the southwest side of Ethiopia, in a small little town called Caffa, which is the Ethiopian word for coffee. They call it Tarara coffee, which means unique coffee.
Oh, okay.
And it is actually picked, processed, and roasted in the actual town where coffee was found, where Kaldi was born, where Kaldi grew up. And if you guys
awesome.
don't know the story of Kaldi yet, we will do an episode on the history.
Yes.
And we'll give you guys our version of the story of Kaldi.
I think that version have changed so
Oh
much.
my
Oh
goodness.
my word, I've
David,
changed that
between
thing so
between
much.
you two, it's changed.
What? No.
Never. Yeah, so it is. If you guys want to check them out, I actually still have a website here. It's www.tartaracoffee.com. So
Tarara.
Tarara. Sorry, I keep on pronouncing that one wrong. Okay, so it's TARARACOFFEE.com. That's almost like that's the best rap I could ever put on this table.
Sounds like that new song on TikTok, but I'm not going to sing it to you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
But you are the singer in the group.
No, actually, Theo, I think is definitely the singer between the three of us.
Oh really?
We'll have him make some lyrical music, lyrical magic. There we go.
Only if you put some music in the background that I can sing too. Otherwise, I am singing nothing. Yeah, so a heirloom variety, obviously from the origin, and fairly darkly roasted.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
guessing a double washed process.
Guessing.
I'm
It's got
guessing.
it's got that dark smoked cigar kind of element to it. That
Yeah.
dark chocolatey, licorice kind of.
A lot of licorice.
Yes, a lot of.
In the aroma, just smoky.
Yes. So if you grew up near train tracks years ago when they still had steam trains, yeah, this might make you quite nostalgic.
Yes.
Got
It'll
that
bring up some
smoky
memory. Yeah.
kind of element.
Whew.
Very interesting.
Now, why are we drinking this coffee today? Just to prove to you guys that we love coffee more than we like being pedantic.
Well,
He's not gonna agree with you.
I love being pedantic about coffee. That's that.
That's good.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it comes down to certain elements in coffee. And the thing that I really appreciate about coffee, and I think what this podcast is about, is value. Even though this is not a lot of value for the money that I'm willing to pay for it, I am sure it was affordable enough that it at least fed some farmers or farmers' kids. They do sell it in a 1 kg, so a 2.2 pound packet. And the worst part about this coffee, it is pre-ground. So it's very old and pre-ground, so this should tell you guys that we're really committed to bettering the coffee ecosystem.
You'll remember that we've said this on a few episodes before. Coffee can be old if it's beans, and you can still make great flavor out of it if you just adjust the grind size.
Like one of the previous episodes.
Yes. The main factor or variable in that statement being it has to be beans and properly stored. This is now pre-ground, which means that a week after we've already lost quite a bit of flavor. Yeah. And I do not want to know how long you've had that packet.
Well, I'm not going to lie to you. Let's see if there's any dates on this packet.
It would be very interesting.
It looks like 2007.
27.
Wow.
2007.
Isn't it 2017? Was it?
No, this is definitely
really?
older than that.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Maybe expiration date was 2016.
No. Because standard coffee expiration date for retail, normally they put exactly a year after roasting or packaging date.
Well, that's best before. This might have been the expiry. I don't know, but it still tastes alright.
Alright. You know what? Let's be honest. It does taste like a lot of commercial coffee. So if that's what you're used to and that's what you like,
you'll actually drink that.
And especially if you a smoker, you like extra hot coffee and you like adding the sugar for sweetness, this is going to be a very affordable option for you to make your kind of coffee.
Right. Now, and just to make Tian cringe a little bit, I'm going to actually show him the grind size because he hasn't seen the grind size yet.
Sure. Wow. Wow.
It's like powder. I don't know if they expected someone to drink this through a French press because if you do, you'll have only coffee grounds in your mouth.
Maybe they wanted people to make it in a jebina.
It could be for jebina. Not that we have them in South Africa or a lot.
Yeah, but to be fair though, that coffee was roasted and processed in Ethiopia. Yeah, so it's not like they went and said, listen, let's make a coffee for South Africa, but they don't have jebina, so let's be nasty and grind it
really fine
for jebina.
So it's probably for them in Ethiopia.
Yeah, it's probably for local use.
Yeah, but
it makes sense because it was imported by someone we know. So.
But and since we are on the topic of grind size, we can kind of now move towards
into the grinder,
into the part of the grinder.
Okay.
And grinders are always obviously an interesting conversation because how many people walk into our store or how many people that we meet even at other people's coffee shops and then they ask questions about grinders and a very affordable option that we've gotten used to is going to your nearest supermarket, paying like 250 Rand for this blade grinder which gives you stones and Cajun spice
grinder.
Yeah, guys, that's not a pepper grinder. Yes. That is not made for coffee beans.
Now, although they sell it as a coffee grinder.
Well, that's what they say. I just think that the guy who invented it was like, hey, I can sell a lot of this. Yeah. Let's put a coffee bean on the packaging. Yeah. Now, to be fair, me and who was with me? I think it was just me and my wife. We were down in
Belito.
Oh
yeah, you've told me this story. That's actually what I wanted to intro into.
Because we had your hand grinder when we were there. When we were there, so we didn't need to. Or did we have the V60? I can't remember. But I actually think we had the V60 because we went to the farm. So I took my good V60 with us. But so we were at a friend's house in Belito, and he only had a blade grinder, and I didn't have any grinders with me, unfortunately, at that point in time. So what I did was I would then take the blade grinder, pop the coffee inside that I weighed off, turn it upside down, hit the button for it to run, and then throw the coffee upwards towards the blade. Which then it would break and then fall down to the bottom. So it wouldn't keep on chopping it into the finest powder that the world could ever create in the ocean.
Yes.
It actually chopped it to a fairly consistent grind size.
Okay.
And I
So that's
actually pulled one freaking amazing coffee out of it.
So that's an alternative if you have one.
Yeah,
of those.
if you have one and you've got no other options and you've got coffee that's, in beans, the brick and mortar would be the second choice to that way of using that blade grinder. It was actually a fantastic cup of coffee, and I made it through a Kalita,
Okay.
which was perfect. Not really grinded fine enough, but it tasted fantastic. So.
Yes, you know what? We use our skill to kind of make that flavor.
Exactly.
But what I was busy saying is that we find so many people who then kind of ask you, okay, what kind of grinder should I get? Should I get an electric or a hand grinder? And obviously, price difference between, well, let's say your entry level hand grinder and a good, consistent entry level burr grinder that's electric is quite a big difference.
It is.
Well, yes and no. Here in South Africa, we have one that's called the Kroops. I'm guessing you would get it somewhere else in the world, and those you can pick up for about 11 to 1400.
Yes, but then you can't
Rand.
necessarily go espresso and.
Oh, you mean going full on from
Yeah.
espresso straight through? Yeah, that's 3 to 4 grand.
Yes, for
Easy.
obviously entry level.
Yes.
And then you get your more obviously expensive, better quality hand grinders that can also go extremely
Ooh.
fine and beautifully
Like the
coarse.
1Z Presso that I played with a
Yes.
few weeks ago. My goodness. That thing was so fine I could make Turkish coffee with it.
Oh, really?
Yes, and it did not take that long to grind. I
That's
was
interesting.
well impressed with it.
And obviously
Nice.
aluminium burr grinder. A stainless
Yeah,
steel.
that was stainless steel covered, yes.
Yes.
Which, I mean,
Compared to-
phenomenal.
Yes.
Compared to the ceramic, you ain't gonna go that
Oh,
fine.
definitely not.
Now, I have to say this: if you have a burr, like a hand burr grinder, and it's ceramic burrs at home, and you would like to make an espresso, it is possible. It is possible. Take your
I love
coffee,
sharing coffee with Stefan.
Not this
Grind-
one.
grind it down to French press, then take the coffee out, recalibrate it down to espresso grind, put the coffee through a second time, and it will actually take you 50 times faster to get to an espresso grind. So you can actually do espresso grind,
Yeah.
but you have to make them into French press grind first.
Okay.
Otherwise, it ain't gonna work.
But it does take quite a while because that
It takes
because
8 minutes, yeah.
especially if you take a conical burr, which then obviously just kind of pushes the bean into itself. If it's that fine powder, it really does, and you'll be surprised how hot that ceramic burr gets when you're
It
grinding
does.
like that.
It's a
Yes.
it's a good workout also.
Well, only for the one shoulder, because
Yeah.
I can't do the left.
Oh,
My
no,
left
no,
arm's
no.
too
I
stupid.
can,
You
I
have-
can
you have
swap
to-
them both.
Oh no,
You
no,
have to
no.
learn how to.
No, apparently my left shoulder is way too weak. Because I do like 3, I'm like, okay, back to the right side. So, but yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, also then, speaking to clients, and I was so surprised, and I told you this, and we said this in one of our previous episodes, I was so surprised by your home setup when
Oh,
I got
yeah,
to
yeah.
your house.
Yeah.
Yes.
And seeing this beautiful home espresso machine that I definitely wanted. And then also having a conversation about this, clients coming in, then to see, what they bought this machine for their house, or they're looking for a coffee machine at home. Do they need to spend 20,000 Rand on it?
Right.
Or can they, go a little bit less?
I had a client today with the same discussion.
Okay.
Yes.
And then obviously our opinion on that is, listen, you can buy a 250,000 Rand machine.
Right.
But buy a horrible, inconsistent grinder.
Cheap grinder.
And you're not gonna get your money's worth from that cup.
Like
definitely.
imagine extracting an espresso from a Varietal, good home machine, grind it through a blade grinder.
It's not gonna work.
No, definitely
You ain't
not.
getting no espresso, man. You're gonna hit the button and press it as fast as you can, and it will drip all the way
But
to,
even-
to a ratio.
Even the one that I have with the built-in
Grinder.
grinder, it's not a bad grinder, but I think if I can get a better grinder, I will
Next to
make better.
it.
I will
Oof.
make better better espresso.
Yes, and that's what I suggested to the client today that I spoke to, because they ordered a siphon So I went all out El
Oh,
Piente.
I'm so
Nice.
jealous. I actually
all
had the
out
Alpiente
El
yesterday
Piente.
as well.
Is it?
Yes.
In the siphon.
No.
Not,
No,
okay.
I never go siphon unless you're there. I'm too much of a noob with it.
But
although
man, I
Just
killed
remember
that
the
one.
spring, please.
we kill. Yes, please remember.
Please
the
remember
spring.
the spring, guys. But
any
yeah,
case.
so I said to her, because she says she's got a Duolingo or Duolongi
Duolongi,
bean
yeah.
to cup, but now she wants to buy something for upstairs. I said, oh, do you have like a offer? She goes, no, for inside my room, because she's a type 1 coffee drinker.
Oh.
Okay.
And so she was like, the husband doesn't always appreciate walking all the way back up the stairs to bring her coffee. And so she wants to put something, in the room. So I actually suggested take the bean to cup upstairs
Yeah.
and go to, like in South Africa, to At Home, buy the cheapest Varietal espresso machine that they have. They're like let's say 4,500 rand. So it's like $250, whatever. And then get a proper grinder, 10 grand, that can do proper espresso grind size. You will love the espressos that come from that thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's the magical part.
Whereas I had a different conversation with a client who, one of the guys who was training with us for about 2 or 3 weeks, and they said, you know what, he didn't realize this was what the coffee industry entailed. Like, I thought it was just pouring hearts and swans and people love you.
Yes.
And then he saw the whole, and anyway, everyone in the coffee industry just laughs, and then the person who's not in the coffee industry listening to this, like, wait, it's not just pouring hearts and people love you?
No.
Unfortunately not.
No.
But he bought himself the Rancello de Silva.
Ooh.
That
Okay.
whole machine, and if I'm not mistaken, that has the industrial parts in it as well. It's got the industrial, so it has the,
Not a bad
the
machine.
9 bar pressure. For your
Yes.
steam one, you have a full 1 bar.
Okay.
But he did not have
A proper grinder.
A proper grinder.
Ugh.
And he said, you know what, I bought this machine,
And he
I'm kind of
probably couldn't understand what the coffee is.
well, no, actually, he said, you know what, I realized that because what he also said is he spent most of his budget buying this machine because he wanted this machine. Again, also, it was a brilliant salesman who sold it to him.
Oh.
And then it's like, no, don't worry about the grinder, buy the machine.
Yes.
That
salesperson obviously didn't have his own machine and grinder at home.
and, or, maybe he drinks Nespresso and that's what he likes.
Who knows?
And so we had this conversation. I said, listen, man, I'm really sorry to tell you, but you're going to have to save up for, if you want a good, consistent cup of coffee at home, you're going to have to save up to get a proper grinder.
Yes.
Definitely, yeah.
And you can get proper grinders, like this small Speciality 55, I think it's Monrock or something, and builds them. They cost like 6,500 to 11,000 for the 4 different, from the entry level to the nice one.
Yeah.
Small, the hopper is only 250 grams.
Sure.
Grinds phenomenal and consistent.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I love it. Like, it's a really good for that price.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a very affordable grinder.
And for your home, I think it's probably fine because
Oh, it's perfect for
Because-
home. You're making
because-
10 cups of coffee max a day.
in a cafe it's a different story. So.
Now, one of our BMWs actually run on one of these.
Oh really?
One of the BMW branches. They run on one of them at the M branch,
Okay.
up top.
Yeah.
And they're killing that thing, man. They're doing like 1,000 to 2,500 cups a month.
Goodness.
Okay.
That's a good amount of coffee.
That's a good amount
Yeah.
of coffee through that little grinder, and it's more than a year old.
You're looking at
Burrs are
about
still good.
80
Okay.
cups of coffee a day.
Yes, it's pumping,
Nice.
man. So
Wow.
I would say it's for that price, phenomenal grinder.
Okay.
Now the barista needs to look after it though.
Yeah, of course.
You need to clean it, take out the burrs. Like, don't just always add dark roasted coffee and keep on grinding for the end of eternity.
Yeah.
It's going to bust.
Yeah.
But you clean it, like, taking the tablets through at least like once in 3 months, and you look after it, that thing will last a long time.
Yeah.
Nice.
We're looking at 15 to 20,000 cups that thing's done in the last year.
Sure. Okay.
Burrs are still good.
Now,
I'm still happy with the espresso shot. So
well, that's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
And if you now look at where obviously some of the new grinders that we've been able to play with when we go visit Sean at Equipment Cafe.
Yeah, they're by Lamazoko.
Yes, where they have those beautiful new Makunich grinders that they just brought
the
in.
E65, the E80s,
And then having a discussion with Sean, and we'll tell you, our roaster is trying to upsell us to get either some Lamazoko or get whatever 3-group dual boiler machine. And I have to be honest, and let me say this, I don't bash dual boilers or 3 groups. The thing is, for us,
all multi-boilers. Yes.
Oh yeah, all multi-boilers. But for us to utilize 3 groups, we need to take all of our cold drinks off the menu. We have to take all of our
only sell coffee.
Just sell coffee and have a line.
But I'll have to move location. We don't have enough people in our shopping mall.
No, you're right. As well as the fact that you're gonna have to have like 3 baristas manning it just to actually utilize the fullness of that machine.
Right. And then you get to restaurants.
Yeah,
that sell coffee as an extra add-on to the guy who doesn't want to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
You know,
or wants to get sober after drinking the alcohol.
Or possibly.
Not
and
that
they've
that
got
ever
3
works.
or 4 group Lamarzocos inside those restaurants.
Sometimes there's like 2 of those machines.
Yes, and I'm going, guys, just send your baristas on training. Like, you could have employed 5 baristas and only purchased 1 2-group machine and run this restaurant like a smile.
Yes.
Definitely.
So, you know, I mean, I think it comes down to preference. Yes, you have people that want to buy a 2-group, you know, Lamazoko or, you know, Victoria Arduino or like a, you know, Slayer or something for their house. And I'm like, what a waste of a phenomenal machine. But if you've got the money to waste,
so saying
yes,
that beautiful home machine that Lamazoko brought out.
Oh, the Mini.
Yes, is so
Lenia Mini.
Yes,
that thing is insane.
I
awesome.
loved playing on that machine. What I liked playing on it was that the grinder that we had with it was a good grinder as well. So now we can pull consistent. Otherwise, because let's say this. You buy a 120,000 Rand machine for your house.
Yes.
And now you buy a cheap grinder. You're going to go back to that company
Telling
and tell them
their machine is rubbish.
Your machine is horrible, or you're going to call your nearest roaster or the place that you bought your coffee at and say, listen, this is horrible.
Yeah, like what the hell are you doing to your coffee?
Yes, you're selling me this specialty 2,500 Rand a kg coffee, and then it tastes like ashtray.
Then this is your grinder.
And this poor guy behind the counter now has to deal with this difficult client, and meanwhile never understood that he's using a pepper grinder to try and make specialty coffee.
in a 100,000 Rand coffee machine.
Yes.
A paper grinder.
No, man.
But also,
you're going like the opposite side.
Yeah, no,
paper
but
grinder and
let's be honest, we've seen some extremes in this industry.
No, definitely.
Which is why we're making this episode today, is to actually talk about these things, because I'm sure there's someone out there sitting right now going, I wish I knew this before I spend money.
And we met someone who would have found themselves in a similar situation from Whisk Away. Remember that conversation?
Yes.
So somebody tried to sell this lady. She actually focuses on selling ice cream and
handmade ice cream.
Yes.
Some of the best, because I can't do milk, as you all know by now.
Yes.
And so she makes a vegan chocolate and a vegan vanilla ice cream that I adore.
Yes. And they wanted to move locations, open up a new shop, but they wanted to be able to serve, you know, a decent cup of coffee for if people wanted to sit down.
Right.
And the person that she spoke to was trying to sell her some 190,000 Rand 3-group machine with like 80,000 Rand grinder. Yeah. And when we had a conversation with her, I said, listen, you don't need that.
No way
that's way too big.
on this earth that you ever going to use that machine to 2% of its capacity.
Because I mean, if they're only gonna wanna sell coffee if people sit down,
right?
Then that's just an overkill.
And it's an ice cream shop.
It's an overkill. And
yes, you could sell some gelatos, but
still,
imagine having a gelato 250,000 Rand setup. What?
You know how many gelato you need to sell to make up for that 250,000 Rand setup?
Ouch!
And I mean,
that's ripping people off.
That's sad, yeah, because I understand the salesperson's point of view,
Well, I don't.
No.
Because he knows
No,
he's
just-
selling
just
something.
from a salesperson, not about the coffee sales.
Yeah.
Just salesperson in general.
Yes.
I understand.
He's thinking,
Because
I'm
I
helping
need-
this person.
Yeah, they're like, okay, people don't know, so I'm gonna sell them the most expensive thing, and I'm like,
Yeah, guys, if that's you and you're listening to this,
Yeah,
stop
please.
ripping people off.
You will-
Sell people something that they can actually use.
yeah, and it's really it's sad because like I said, it's ripping them off.
Yeah.
And it's an overkill for a small shop or whatever, even for big shops, even for restaurants. Like
Yeah.
I've walked in a few restaurants, then they've got like 2-3 groups, and I'm like,
For what?
can I have one of those? And I'm gonna sell it, and
And then I'll
just buy a
come
nice
and then I'll come and train you for free how to use the one that's left.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, it's helping the people that you can see when somebody doesn't know.
That's true.
If they want to set up something, or they just want to add coffee to their menu or whatever, then somebody comes and say, okay, now you need a 3 group, you need a, like I said, 80,000 grand grinder, and then they just like, okay. Then I'm like,
That's because they don't know.
then they go into debt and all that kind of stuff. But that's just a different. But at the end of the
Well,
day,
that is the reason why 90% of the coffee shops in the world that open fail.
because they
It's
spend
because the
all
machines
the money,
they have is too expensive for the shop.
and then they want to sell it, and then the people don't want to buy it.
Yeah, I mean, if you're opening a coffee shop, go and buy a small one group
Yeah.
with a decent grinder
Yeah.
that could last you forever, and then service and look after it, right?
Yeah.
But then once you start running out of capacity, or capability for your one group machine,
Then
upgrade to a 2 group.
I thought you were going to say just add another one group machine.
Yeah, no.
No, that's not going to work.
Just upgrade you sell the one group machine. Let's say you only get half the money back. You've got about a quarter of the money for the 2 group.
And also, how much money has that machine already made back of itself?
It's paid itself, and it's helped paid for the new one.
Now,
and the
obviously-
moment you can sell enough coffee in one day, to actually have a 2 group, you will be able to afford it.
And if you take into
Definitely.
account, even at our shop, there are only 2 times ever that we really need the 2 group. It's when we have a rush hour or when we have coffee tastings.
Right.
Because if I have 40 people sitting, they all need to get a cappuccino and an espresso at the same time.
yeah.
I mean, then we pump. That'll be probably the only
But
time.
then there's 3 baristas on the machine.
Yes. And that'll probably be the only time that we could maybe for 2% justify having a 3 group
group.
machine
Yeah.
with 2 grinders.
Or a multi-boiler.
But not even, because we still make it work with a single boiler, and we're running consistent shots that all taste the same, and we're very
Yeah,
pedantic.
but we're not touching hot water though.
No, valid point.
If you
Because
touch
we
the
never-
hot water, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yes, but also to say, we don't stand still long enough for that shower to heat up.
Yeah, that's
long
true.
enough. I mean,
Yeah, that's
we've
true.
had that one tasting. How many people were we? 40.
Oh,
That was 48 people.
Yeah, it was 48 people.
Sitting, including
Outside,
the
yeah.
4 of us. It was 52 people.
52 people.
And
They all had to taste a cappuccino
Whereas-
and a espresso
at the same time.
within a spec that the first person's coffee is still hot enough for the last person to have a similar temperature.
where
That was crazy.
Yeah, but we had 3 baristas. There was Jonathan
True.
doing all of the latte art and the steaming, and it was not fancy kind of latte. I was just putting the milk in the cup,
Stucker,
making
yeah.
sure it's nice.
Yeah.
Me on the scales, just running the shots, and Costa to our right, just grinding and tamping,
Yes.
and handing them on, wiping, continuing.
With
Using-
four, with
we're using
four
four
portafilters.
portafilters. So
I
sorry.
remember that.
Yes.
Because the first one comes out, it needs to be clean. By then, the other 3 needs to be packed and into the machine.
And we're just stacking cups, and we have 2 people running with cups to tables, just taking it. And eventually, obviously, espresso shots run, especially if you're doing singles, much quicker than, for example, cappuccinos pour.
Yes.
So then we get
You
to that
pile
place.
up.
We're using 2 steam, both steam ones at the same time, just passing the milk on to Jonathan. One of us then jumps in, and eventually all 3 of us stand there pouring latte art just to get the stuff out quick enough.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's
I actually
Good
missed
fun.
that now. I
Good
actually
fun,
missed that
man.
now.
but it's the same as the rush that we had the other day on,
Yes.
on a single group.
Yes, on a little small
But-
single
and
group
then
machine.
There we saw that there was a few Americanos that we pulled the hot water
Yeah.
up, and then the steam was a bit too.
But
we
only
lost
because
pressure.
we didn't have the urn with the hot water. If we didn't touch the hot water, that thing would be fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yes, I mean we ran out. We ran out of hot water or out of steam.
But
So
it was-
I go in. I'm like, okay, it's out, and it was 40 seconds.
Yeah, and it builds
40
back up.
seconds
back.
later, I'm foaming and pouring again.
Yeah, the
I
only
mean-
thing that kills a single group machine is if you take the water for the Americano from
From
the
the
boiler
boiler,
itself.
yes.
Compared to just putting it in there, it does the job. You just need to keep refilling it, and it's relatively
Yes.
quick.
But that was only at the opening, so. the
Yeah,
rest
we
of-
only
the
did
rest of
3
the-
Americanos, to be fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was a few more, but yes, a
Well,
flat
not in the
white-
rush hour, yeah.
And that was also the other thing. Flat white slowed us down because now you
Yes,
can't
'cause
split
double
the
ristrettos,
shots.
yeah.
You've got those double ristrettos.
Don't have 2 portafilters to pull 2 of them. You can only one
But
one double ristretto every
but,
time. So.
but in that case, that being now a very good segue into going to the end of our conversation. Yes, the cream is amazing,
yes.
but we only recalibrated twice that day, and because of the major humidity differences
Yeah.
between the outside and the air-conditioned shop inside, so every
Inside,
time
yes.
the door opens,
Yeah,
Yes,
it
yes,
kind of
yes.
affects it a little bit. But we didn't have to change calibration 52 times. We didn't have to do all kinds of funny nonsense.
Yeah.
We could grind, tamp, just check obviously on the scale the entire time. But we had such consistency in pulling those shots
Yes.
that whether Stefan tamped or I tamped or you tamped, and obviously we've now practiced
Yes.
doing it the same way.
Getting a consistent pressure.
We
Yeah,
had
yeah.
good, consistent cups of coffee.
Yeah.
We had brilliant consistency. Everything was running within the time
Yeah.
and within maybe 1 to 1.5 milliliter of the ratio we were going
Yeah,
for.
yeah.
And consider, I mean, that was like what 2.5 hours non-stop of extraction.
And also saying that we did not run volumetrics. We run manual
Yes.
all the way.
Yes.
Manual,
definitely.
pushing on, pushing off.
Scale, weighing in and weighing out.
Yes.
Every time.
So if you ever thought that a coffee bar does not need 3 scales, have a proper rush hour on a single group
Yeah.
machine.
Then
I
you-
promise
With
then
3
you run
baristas,
3
you
scales.
definitely need all 3 of them.
Definitely.
Because we have 2 portafilters, each on their own scale, and
Yeah.
one on top of the machine running the ratios every single shot, brushing the teeth between every single
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
Have to.
So just to say that to you guys as well, we would not just purge, we would actually brush every single, after every single shot to make sure
keep the
that the
machine-
next cup tastes phenomenal.
Yes.
To keep it clean.
Yes.
Otherwise, the next guy gets all the.
Consistency,
all
man.
the, old
But man,
coffee.
that was fun.
That was good.
That was good.
Soon we'll do that again. In
And
about
just-
15
and
days.
And just keep enough milk for Russia.
Yes,
yeah,
make
yeah.
sure. No, you know what?
But that was
make
good,
sure that
eh?
your delivery guys don't not show up.
Yes,
something like
and
that.
if you're frightened that they won't, bring extra
Yeah,
milk.
bring some extra milk. All right, don't send your 15-year-old barista running in the middle of the rain to just go get enough milk because now these people are waiting for their order. So,
Exactly.
But it was good. It was a good day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, let's look at why this information is important. Now, when I came into coffee, I did not know that the grinder is as important as now, that I know now. For me, right now, I'll go and spend $10,000 on an espresso machine, or maybe even buy a second-hand one for less than that. But then take the actual
Talking about
money.
for your home.
Well, for my home or even for a shop. Small shop, of course, not a big shop.
No, but you
I would buy something small. Now I'm talking about something like a, expo bar or something
no,
like
man,
that.
I thought you wanted to put that kind of machine into our shop.
Oh no,
That
not
I-
a
this
is
proper
just general,
existing
man.
coffee
No, man, I
shop.
was
in general,
so
right?
shocked what are you trying to tell me?
But I would rather take the 30 or 40 grand or 70 grand that I would have spent on the coffee machine because someone else said so, and I would rather spend that on a Malkunig or on a Mythos or on something like that.
Yeah.
Knowing that I never have to replace my grinder again.
Yeah.
It's just looking after those burrs because trust me guys, you buy a grinder that can do 3 tons of coffee, the burrs ain't cheap.
That's a fact.
Definitely.
Yeah, so make sure you look after it. But I'll rather buy the grinder. Because the espresso machine, whether you pull a 3-bar pressure shot or whether you pull a 9-bar pressure shot. It's just changing the grind size to get that perfect flavor.
It's just
And
about
that's-
adjusting the recipe.
Yes.
Yeah, so because like mine is a
Yeah, you've got a 3.6
and I
bars.
pull great espressos.
But
and
because
stuff.
you've got a nice consistent
I haven't
grind
tasted
size.
an espresso from that machine yet.
Oh, not.
No.
We should make a plan. It's really good.
We played a lot with the machine to get. The,
Yeah.
the perfect
I think we
ratio.
played like 4 hours to get a perfect shot from it.
Seems
to
like a
know
lot of coffee.
how it works and how to figure it out
Yeah.
to get the great espressos.
But the Breval, in my opinion, great machine.
Oh, you say Breval. I'm like, for me it's a Breval.
Yeah, to me
well,
it's
some
Breville
guys,
as
it depends on where you are in the world.
Potato,
And
tomato.
When
some
I
say-
say when I
some
say
say
Breval, then at least everybody knows how to spell it. You say what?
Breville.
Breville. I'm gonna have to go to the English website and go, okay, Breville, because you're
but-
not really pronouncing all the letters.
Actually, you are pronouncing all of them.
Okay, but
Breval, okay, let's not
this
go
is
into
beside
the
I'm
linguistics.
just
of
like
this.
every time he says, I'm just like I'm not gonna correct him. Just gotta keep on saying it. So
Well, literally in America they call it something like in the UK they call it a sage.
Yeah, it's a sage. Yeah.
So, where are you?
Oh,
from?
it seems like there's
Potato,
some wisdom
potato.
in that machine.
Yes.
If you want to call it a sage, but
Yes.
Okay.
now,
yeah.
But
I
the
think-
point to be made,
yes,
if you guys didn't know that the grinder is that important, go
Yeah.
out and get a proper grinder.
Yes.
well, actually, you know what? Go to a place that'll allow you to work on the grinders or to see what they like.
That's it.
Think about, especially if you're taking a look at opening a coffee shop, or opening a second branch of one, or getting a coffee machine for your house.
That's it.
You don't necessarily need or want to spend half of $100,000 or $50,000 rather on a machine and then have a horrible grinder or have an inconsistent cup of coffee.
Yes.
I mean, a conversation we had with a client 2 weeks ago. They didn't necessarily have money for the hand grinder, and I said, you know what, that's fine, you can come back. And she said, no, you know what, what do I really need? I said, okay, how, and especially with now, how do we apply this?
Yes.
Said, okay, how consistent and good do you want your cup of coffee at home? And her statement, this was very, very cool to me, was that no, I'm trying to get off sugar and off milk, which means I'm not that I want a good, consistent,
Exactly.
tasty, nice cup of coffee.
Yeah, you
So
don't want
know
to
what?
add sugar every now and again because it tastes horrible.
And
You
then-
want every shot tasting beautiful.
And then I told them, I said, listen, I can upsell you on the R2,500 bow grinder that I have that's electric, but what I can recommend, take the hand grinder.
Right.
I'm using it myself. I mean, I've done 15 kgs worth of coffee through that little hand grinder. Getting
Yes.
lazy with the V61 that we have,
Of
but
course.
and then they compromised, said, you know what, fine, they'll get the grinder, because to them they wanted some of our
Important,
specialty coffee,
yeah.
and I said, you know what,
Yeah.
I can pre-grind it. The thing is, after a week, you're not gonna like it anymore. It's not gonna taste like what I just made for you.
And you make it to your friends, they're going to say, my coffee sucks.
Yeah.
And just because the coffee got
pre-ground.
old,
Yeah.
that's indecent to the coffee.
And also, I think selling that then to a client, you're not really, I think, putting in the care for that person's cup of coffee.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
always say, may you find your happy place in every
Yeah.
cup.
Right.
I'm not going to help you get to the happy place selling you something, first of all, that you don't
Just
need,
by making money off
or
it, yes.
making money off of you.
Yeah.
So when you need to go buy a grinder for yourself, or you need to buy a machine, or you know somebody who actually wants to, do a little bit of research. There's actually so much out there, and even on social media, there are quite a few people that you can actually ask about this that are willing
Yes.
to give you the answer.
Loads of people. And there's actually so many reviews nowadays.
In fact, I mean, how many grinder comparisons does James Hoffman do?
Yeah.
I mean, in one video, not even. I mean, he
He's
takes
got a
5 or
big
6.
selection.
Yeah, there's James Hoffman, there's Lance, there's there's so many different guys that look at grinders that say, right, you want to buy something affordable, here's your entry level.
Yeah.
Oh, you got some money to spend, go for this
And
is
then
phenomenal
They'll
quality.
still give you an honest opinion.
Yes.
And the thing is, at the end of the day, I understand.
And they're not making the sale. Sorry.
No, I understand to have a nice looking machine and all that kind of stuff. It's nice, a nice, beautiful espresso machine. it's a nice to
It's
have.
a nice to have.
If you have the money for it, but
not
if,
a
you,
necessity.
if you really want a great cup of coffee consistently, go for the grinder.
Yes.
Go and spend some money on the grinder, and then buy a decent, affordable coffee machine.
Right.
And at the end of the day, it's you can get your machine later, but if you want proper coffee and nice
Get the grinder
coffee,
first.
get the
Yes.
grinder. So
Like get the grinder and use a mocha.
There
Coffee
you go.
will taste phenomenal.
There you
yeah,
go.
definitely.
I mean, it just makes more sense.
Yeah.
And-
Galetti makes amazing coffee if you've got a good grinder.
Hey, and even if you play
And
around
the-
with the recipe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
And this, and I think this makes our coffee better, especially because if you as a salesperson takes into account that you don't need to take every cent that this person has to actually sell them something that they can use and that's going to give them consistency.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or taking into account that if you're a buyer, you don't actually need to spend, you don't need to buy half a house just to make coffee for yourself.
No.
There are affordable ways of doing it, and even if you have 150 Rand V60, but you have a good grinder, you can play with almost any coffee and
Yeah.
pull some beautiful flavor
Excellent shots, yeah.
out of it. So in my opinion, in that case, I would say definitely focus on the grinder.
Yeah.
Get something that gives you good quality and consistency, and then when you eventually get to a point, right, where you want to have a nice looking coffee machine and you already have a good grinder, by all means, that means
Upgrade.
that
yeah.
it's going to make it more convenient and it's going to make it easier.
Yeah.
Right.
But if I have to give you my honest opinion, if you have a grinder that does the job but it doesn't look as nice anymore, buy a Barbie sticker and put it on it.
Right.
Then it looks
Barbie
or a
beautiful.
can of spray
Yes.
and give it a different color.
yeah,
Yeah.
make it look nice, but it's about the functionality. That's a-
Exactly. That's the
And-
important
and-
bit is what it can do.
And definitely, and an important thing is to take care of it.
Right.
That's
Cleaning
the maintenance of
On
of-
both.
It's just gonna, if you look after anything well, it's
It will
gonna
last longer, yes.
So the maintenance is a very nice thing and important thing. And the thing is, you have to know what to do.
Yes.
Like the pills that you put through the
Yes, the
grinder,
tablets, yeah.
tablets, whatever. So what you put,
No,
what you put through
don't
the,
upgrade
especially if you drink dark roast coffee, you have to do it
Oh
more often.
yes, please. If
Because
you
of
are
the oils.
into dark roast coffees, buy a big bottle of grinding cleaning tablets.
Yeah, because of the oil.
Ernex makes a phenomenal one. It screws your burrs and your machine up.
Yeah, so and that's an important thing to really maintain and clean as often as you can.
Yes, and on both machines,
Yeah.
your grinder, guys, look after your grinder. But just as important, look after your coffee machine.
Yeah.
Clean it with the backflush, powders, and make sure that you're putting clean water into it, because once you build
Yeah.
up lime scale, that thing is going away for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's going to cost you an arm and a leg. You could buy another proper grinder for the price it's going to cost you to clean it. Make sure to clean your equipment daily.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's as much as we're going to say on this,
Yes.
without saying
taking
unnecessary
half
things.
a day, and you know,
Yes.
so
Because we could go on and on about this forever, but we just wanted to put this out there for the people that's never thought of it or who never knew about this.
Yes.
So that now you can think about it. Hopefully you haven't bought the machine and wasted money. But if you have, then use what you've got, but save up for a proper grinder.
Yeah.
And trust me, there's nothing wrong with the coffee or the machine.
yeah.
It's the grinder.
Yeah, definitely.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
I'll see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, we hope this was informative.
Yes.
And may you go out and pull those shots and find your happy place in every single cup. Chat
Cheers.
later, guys.
Cheers, guys.